His attorney leaned across that polished mahogany table and whispered something I couldn't hear. But I saw it, the exact moment my husband's arrogance cracked like glass. His hands froze mid-signature. The color drained from his face. And that cocky smirk he'd worn for 15 years?
Gone. Just gone.
Hey everyone. Welcome back to Revenge Unscripted. I'm so glad you're here. Before we dive into today's story, do me a quick favor. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Seriously, I love seeing where you all are tuning in from around the world. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we share real stories about people who refuse to be victims. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 34, a mother, and until 3 months ago, I was married to Brandon Mitchell for 15 years. When he filed for divorce, he demanded the house, the business, the cars, everything we'd built together. He even told me I could keep our son, like he was doing me some grand favor. What Brandon didn't know, I'd discovered his dirty little secret 3 years earlier, and I've been planning ever since. This isn't about screaming matches or drama. This is about patience, precision, and watching a man bury himself with his own greed. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. Brandon Mitchell, charming, ambitious, handsome in that all-American way that photographs well.
Me?
I was the supportive wife. The one who worked 70-hour weeks turning his half-baked business idea into something real while he shook hands and took clients to golf. We met in college. He had big dreams and bigger promises. We'll build this together, he said. Equal partners. For the first few years, I believed him. I handled the books, managed operations, hired staff, negotiated contracts. Brandon handled business development, which mostly meant expensive lunches and networking events. But he was good at it. I'll give him that. He could sell anything to anyone, especially himself. Our son, Tyler, was born when I was 23. I took 6 weeks off, then went right back to work because someone had to keep the company afloat. Brandon's mother, Patricia, made sure I knew I was failing as a mother for it. A real woman puts her family first, she'd say, sipping wine in my kitchen. But when I suggested Brandon scale back his golf trips to help with Tyler, suddenly I was being unsupportive of his career. The business grew. We bought the big house in the suburbs, the luxury cars, joined the country club. From the outside, we'd made it. But I noticed something shift around year 10. Brandon started staying late at the office. His phone was always face down. He'd shower the moment he got home, even if he'd just been at the office. I didn't say anything. Not yet. It was a Tuesday morning. Brandon barely looked up from his phone as I poured coffee. Tyler was at the table doing homework. Normal. Routine. Then Brandon cleared his throat. Sarah, I want a divorce.
Just like that. No preamble. No emotion.
Like he was ordering lunch. I froze, coffee pot still in my hand. Tyler's pencil stopped moving. I'm not happy anymore, Brandon continued, still scrolling. I haven't been for a while. I need to focus on myself. On my future. I think it's best if we split everything now before this gets messy. Split everything? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. I'll keep the house. It's in the business's name anyway. The cars, the company, the assets. You can keep Tyler. He said it so casually, like our son was a piece of furniture. I'll pay reasonable child support, obviously. But I need you out by the end of the month. My hands were shaking. Brandon, we built that business together. You helped, he interrupted. But let's be honest, Sarah. I'm the face of the company. I'm the one clients know. You're just operations. Just operations. 15 years. Reduced to just operations. Tyler was crying now, but Brandon didn't even look at him. He stood, grabbed his keys, and headed for the door. My lawyer will send the papers. Sign them. Don't make this difficult.
The door closed.
And I stood there, coffee pot still in my hand, watching my life disintegrate. Within a week, Brandon had moved his girlfriend into our house. Her name was Amber, 26, blonde. A marketing consultant. He'd definitely been consulting for months. She redecorated my bedroom, posted photos on Instagram with captions like "New Beginnings" and "Finally found my forever home." In MY house, Tyler came back from his weekend with Brandon in tears. Dad says you're trying to ruin his life. Amber says you're jealous because you let yourself go. My heart shattered. But worse than Amber? My best friend, Jessica. We'd known each other since high school. She was my maid of honor, Tyler's godmother, the person I called when I needed to vent. Except now she was having lunch with Brandon and Amber, posting pictures at their dinner parties. When I confronted her, she barely looked guilty. "Sarah, you're being dramatic. Brandon's moving on. Maybe you should too." Even Patricia, Brandon's mother, twisted the knife deeper. She showed up at my apartment, the tiny one-bedroom I'd rented after Brandon kicked me out, with a judgmental sneer. "I always knew you weren't good enough for my son. This is what happens when women get ambitious. They forget their place." Everyone saw me as broken, pathetic, the bitter ex-wife who couldn't let go. I played the part perfectly. I kept my head down, stopped fighting, let them think I was defeated. Because 3 years ago, I'd found something, and I'd been quietly preparing ever since. 3 years before the divorce, I found the folder. It was late, maybe 2 a.m. Brandon was passed out after another client dinner. I was handling quarterly taxes like I always did and noticed something odd. A second mortgage on the house I didn't recognize. I dug deeper. There were loans everywhere. Business loans taken against inflated revenue projections. Personal loans using company assets as collateral. Credit lines maxed out and rolled over again and again. Brandon's success? It was smoke and mirrors. The luxury cars? Leased with ballooning payments. The country club membership? Funded by a business line of credit. Even the watch he wore, the one he bragged cost $40,000, was purchased with a loan against future earnings that didn't exist. We weren't rich. We were drowning. The business showed profit on paper, but only because Brandon deferred expenses, inflated projections, and shuffled debt between accounts like a shell game. I found emails to his accountant asking how to hide liabilities during audits. He'd mortgaged everything. The house, the business, even Tyler's college fund, which he'd secretly liquidated and spent. We were nearly $2 million in debt. And no one knew but Brandon and his accountant. My first instinct was to confront him, to scream, to demand answers. But then I stopped, and I thought about something my grandmother once told me. Smart women don't interrupt their enemies when they're making mistakes. So I didn't say a word. Instead, I made copies, documented everything, and I started building a plan. A very, very patient plan. For 3 years, I played the perfect, oblivious wife. I smiled at parties, complimented Amber when Brandon started bringing her around, let Brandon take credit for every success, while I worked 70-hour weeks, keeping his sinking ship afloat. But behind the scenes, I was meticulous. First, I secured Tyler's future. My grandmother had left me a substantial inheritance, money Brandon never touched because it was in a trust with my name only. I quietly moved it offshore, then created an irrevocable trust for Tyler's education with my brother as trustee. Brandon couldn't touch it, wouldn't even know it existed. Second, I documented everything. Every hidden debt, every inflated projection, Every email where Brandon instructed his accountant to massage the numbers. I saved it all to an encrypted cloud drive Brandon didn't know about. Third, I stopped saving him. When vendors called about late payments, I forwarded them to Brandon. When clients complained, I escalated directly to him. I stopped covering his mistakes, stopped working weekends to fix his messes. The cracks started showing. Revenue dipped. Clients left. Brandon grew paranoid, blamed staff, blamed the economy, everyone but himself. And when he finally asked for the divorce, demanding everything, I didn't fight. I played devastated.
Broken. Weak.
His lawyer drew up papers giving Brandon the house, the business, all assets, all vehicles. I signed them in front of witnesses, tears streaming down my face. But there was one tiny clause Brandon's lawyer added at my request, just to speed things along. Brandon would assume all debts associated with marital assets.
All debts.
The final hearing was routine. Or it should have been. Brandon strutted in wearing his expensive suit, the one purchased on credit, with Amber on his arm and a smile that said he'd already won. The judge reviewed the settlement. Brandon got the house, the business, the cars. I got Tyler and nothing else. This is agreeable? The judge asked. Absolutely, Brandon said, reaching for the pen. That's when his lawyer's phone buzzed. I watched as he glanced down, frowned, then went pale. He leaned toward Brandon and whispered something urgent. Brandon waved him off, annoyed. Mr. Mitchell, his lawyer said louder, I need a moment with my client. We're done here, Brandon snapped. Let's just sign and… Mr. Mitchell, you're assuming liability for… I know what I'm signing, Brandon interrupted. The business is worth millions. The house alone is. Mr. Mitchell, the lawyer's voice was desperate now. The business has $1.7 million in undisclosed debts. The house is mortgaged beyond its value. The cars are leased with six-figure buyout clauses. You're not signing for assets. You're signing for financial ruin. The courtroom went silent. Brandon's face went from confident to confused to horrified in seconds. What are you? No, that's impossible. Sarah, tell them. Tell them about the debts you hid from me? I said calmly. The ones you concealed during our entire marriage? The ones I documented over 3 years? Those debts. His mouth opened. Nothing came out. The judge looked at the papers, then at Brandon. Is this settlement still agreeable, Mr. Mitchell? Brandon tried to back out, begged the judge, begged his lawyer. But he'd already signed preliminary agreements. In front of witnesses. On record. The judge enforced it. Brandon Mitchell walked away with everything and nothing. The house. Foreclosed within 6 months. The business? Bankruptcy within 8. His credit? Obliterated. The luxury cars were repossessed. His country club membership revoked. Amber left him 3 weeks after the judgment. Turns out she loved the lifestyle, not the man. Last I heard, she was engaged to a dentist in Florida. Jessica stopped calling when Brandon couldn't afford fancy dinners anymore. Turns out loyalty has a price point. Even Patricia, his own mother, publicly disowned him after he had to move into her basement and couldn't pay rent. Brandon's final humiliation came when his former clients sued him for fraud. The inflated projections, the hidden fees, the shuffled accounts, all of it came out. His professional reputation was destroyed. He tried to contact me once, 6 months later. Called me crying, begging for help. I listened silently. Then I said, You told me I was just operations, Brandon. You wanted everything.
So, I made sure you got exactly that.
Everything you built. Everything you borrowed. Everything you lied about. It's all yours now. Then I hung up. Tyler understands now. He's proud of his mom. I rebuilt my life. Started my own consulting firm. Paid cash for a small house. No debt. No lies.
Brandon?
Last I heard, he's working retail and living in a studio apartment. Turns out karma doesn't forget. Neither do I.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Beyond the Scripted.